this pimp don't lie. How many rap stars you know that went to Berkeley High? I'm always with a cup of bourbon. I'm in here choosing, you up here searching.
Yo, welcome to the show, everybody. It's me, Ben, and welcome back to the final wrap-up of 2019's music video. Today, that was a really bad intro, but we're not going to do it again. Today, we're talking about my top 10 favorite albums of the year. Now, here's the thing. This is kind of similar to yesterday's theme in that, one, tons of y'all are going to disagree with me, and that's 100% okay. I certainly don't expect all of you to have the same list as me. That wouldn't make any sense. But as per usual, leave your list below. I definitely want to be able to look through those and see what you guys thought. Whether you agree with some of my choices or you completely disagree, leave me your list below and I'll do my best to read through those. Because, as per usual, if a bunch of you guys comment that there was an album that you really love that I somehow managed to miss, I need to go check that out, because you guys always seem to request things that I end up really liking. So yeah, we're gonna hop into this video. I will say that some of these albums are mini albums. They're not necessarily full length, and that's okay. I think there have been too many good mini albums, right? And that's the thing. The term mini album is so strange to me because some mini albums have 8 songs and some full-length albums have 10. So what's the point? You know, if it's an album to me. An EP that has like 3 or 4 songs may be different, but whatever, bro. I'm here. This is my list. I have decided. If you disagree with it, fine. We're gonna hop into this video. To start off our list today, we've got Entropy by Day 6. My 3 main ones from this album are definitely Rescue Me, Stop Talking, and Not Mine, for multiple different reasons. I'm going to do my best to go through and give you guys a couple of songs from each album that I really love, but as I've said already in a couple of these videos, Day 6 really sort of took over my life this year. These boys really mean the world to me. I relate to so many of their lyrics, and that's part of the reason why this album was so significant for me. It was also just nice and long. You know, when I first started listening to the boys, I obviously had to sort of go through their catalog of songs, of albums that they had already released, but I was a nice, you know, half decent, you know, as far as knowledge goes, my day, by the time this album dropped. So Entropy became immediately one of my favorites just because it sort of hit the vibe right for what I needed to hear at the time. Number 9 goes to Yellowwood by Stray Kids. When it comes to this album, I would just say that literally any of the mixtapes are my favorite song on it, but the entire, you know, album itself is heat. This is one of those times where this released around early summer, end of spring, if I remember correctly, and as I've said in other videos this week, that was just a really significant time for me. So going back, when I hear the songs on this album, I can't help but think of that period of time when I was in. And it immediately just, you know, fills me up with that sort of excitement of not really knowing what was going to happen next in my life, but being excited. And that's what these songs do for me. So that's why it's got to be number 9 on my list. Number 8 goes to Famous by Taemin. Some favorites from this album, definitely Slave, Exclusive, of course, which I talked about the other day, and Tease as well. The entire album as a whole is, you know, heat, but yeah, there's something about this album that just really hit for me. I really enjoyed the album he released obviously earlier in the year as well, but there was something about this album that just hit different for me. I wish I had a better way to describe it. The album just resonates with me. It matches the moods that I feel a lot of times throughout the week. It's something that I can listen to sort of whenever. I can put it on in the background while I work. And I just sort of fell in love with it from first listen. Number 7, and this is gonna make a lot of you guys very excited, I think. Number 7 goes to An Ode by 17. Some favorites from this one have to go to Lie Again, such a beautiful song. Fear, obviously the title track, is one of my songs of the year in general. 24/7, we don't even need to talk about it, and obviously Second Life as well. The entire album is really good, but those are probably my 3 or 4 favorites right there. In general, I've obviously also said this earlier this week, I have so much learning to do when it comes to 17. I am a very new carrot at the end of the day, but this album really struck a chord with me. And I've said this before as well, 17 makes music that no one else really makes. It's very hard to compare 17 to anybody in the industry, and that's part of the reason the album stuck with me so much. When I sat down to listen to this album on Patreon, I was blown away with how I was able to relate to it, but at the same time how I couldn't relate it back to any of the other albums that I had listened to this year. So originality definitely, you know, helped me make the decision to put this on my list, but it also just resonated with me, and that's why it's got to be number 7. Number 6 goes to Follow/Find You by Monsta X. Some favorites from this one, obviously both title tracks, Follow and Find You, but in addition, my favorite B-side is definitely Monster Truck, but I love Burn It Up as well. And in general, I mean, just similar with 17, similar with the Stray Kids album as well, I've fallen so in love with Monsta X. You know, it would have felt very weird to not put Monsta X on my list. In fact, it almost feels a little bit weird to have them as number 6 rather than higher, but there's just been, you'll understand why I had to put them as Monsta number, I'm an idiot, bro. It's hard to put them as number 6 because I almost feel like they should be higher, but because of the sheer amount of ridiculously good albums that came out this year, I just couldn't put them a little bit higher. But the album is amazing. For those of you that might have slept on the album, go listen to it. It's fire. Number 5, we've got another soloist. This one goes to City Lights by Baekhyun. And in this case, I mean, every single song ended up on my playlist, but Stay Up, Betcha, and Psycho are probably my 3 favorites from the album. In general, you know, after seeing, you know, Baekhyun live, I fell in love with him even more, but this, if I remember correctly, this album was released like April, May, something like that. So once again, at this time of my life where I was, you know, finishing up school, about to graduate, had no idea what in the world was going on, but YouTube was beginning to pop off a little bit, and I was starting to think, damn, maybe we could take this full time. So every time I hear the songs on this album, I kind of think back to that sort of mindset where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take things as they come, I'm gonna enjoy life, and, you know, so. It's very hard for me to be anything but very happy when I listen to these songs. So massive thanks to Mr. Baekhyun for that, because he absolutely smashed it with this album. Number 4, and I'm gonna be honest with you, all of the top 4 are female artists. Would you expect anything else from me? I would hope not at this point. Hopefully y'all know me well enough at this point, but they're well deserved, let me tell you. Number 4 goes to Purpose by Taeyeon. Just once again, pretty much every track on this album was amazing, but my personal favorites go to Love You Like Crazy, which is my number 1 at this point. It wasn't actually my number 1 when I first listened to the album, but it is now, as well as Lol, Wine, and Gravity. Those are probably my 4 main ones. And this is one of those cases where, you know, I don't remember exactly how many songs are on the album, but it's more than 10, right? And it's almost as if she's picked out a song and put it on the album for every single one of my moods that I have throughout the week. It's ridiculous. It's like Miss Taeyeon knows my brain. I have a feeling that if I go and I watch other, you know, creators or YouTubers, you know, sort of lists of the year, I have a feeling Taeyeon is going to be on the majority of people's lists, because she seems to be able to sort of be this kind of artist that's relatable to everyone. You know, so far, the rest of my list so far, you know, could be here or there for some people. A lot of that is just my own personal taste, right? But I feel like with Taeyeon, she's probably going to be with just about everybody. So I'm very curious to see if she's on y'all's lists as well. Number 3, you shouldn't be surprised by this one. It's Feel Special by Twice. Absolute favorites from this album are obviously the title track itself, but especially Trick It, Get Loud, and Love Foolish. I almost just sneezed at the same time as that just happened, and that would have been very dangerous. But yeah, so dude, Twice has taken over my life this year in like the best possible way. I am so whipped. I am so whipped. But this album in particular was really good. And you know, I said this once again earlier this week, it almost feels weird not putting the Fancy album on this list as well, but I want to give love to as many groups as I can. It would be weird if I put the same group twice on a list. So we'll say that Fancy is probably my album number 11 because that album was amazing. The only reason that Feel Special is above it is because ultimately it just had more songs on it. And you know, that's kind of a bad reason maybe to some of you, but Fancy had what, 5 or 6 amazing songs, whereas Feel Special has like 7 or 8, you know what I mean? So it's just the way of the road at this point. Number 2, of course, into our top 2, you shouldn't really have any doubt in your mind what these 2 groups are gonna be at this point if you've watched the rest of my videos. In this case, number 2 goes to I Made by I-DLE. And obviously there are only like 6 songs on this one, but my favorites off the bat are probably Put It Straight, Give Me Your, and What's Your Name. In general, you know, I-DLE, here's the thing with I-DLE. We just need more music from them. As a Blink as well, obviously I can complain about not having enough music till I'm blue in the face, but the thing with I-DLE is that they've been promoting so much this year, they've been doing so many different promotional activities, it's obviously gonna be harder for them to release like a full body of work, right? So with I-DLE we have a couple of solo tracks, but we also have the 2 sort of mini albums. So from what I can hear, the rumors are that we're getting a full album in early 2020, which if that's true, that's amazing. I cannot wait for that. But even if it's another mini album, that'll still make sense to me, just because the sheer amount that they've been on the road or performing, doing other things. So whether or not, you know, either way. That was a big tangent. Moral of the story is this album's amazing. I love it with my entire heart. This was, like, I had already loved I-DLE at the time, but when this album dropped in February, it was like the stamp. They were already my ult, but they're my ult and I'm crazy for them. You know what I mean? It really just sort of cemented my love for the group, and that's why I love it so much, and that's why it's my number 2. My number one goes to the Reve Festival Day 2 by Red Velvet. Not Day 1, but Day 2. And that's gonna piss a lot of people off. And that's okay, because it's okay to have an opinion.
Yeah, here we go again.
Absolute favorites from Day 2 go to Carpool and Jumpin'. Obviously Oompa Oompa as well, which I talked about in one of my other videos. The entire album is heat. And I don't want to throw any shade on Day 1 because I love Day 1. There's so many good songs. Like literally, here's the thing, y'all. Every single song on both ended up on my playlists. That's just the way that it is. Hey Philly, I'm finishing a video really quick. Let me finish, okay? So, you know, at the end of Day 1, obviously I was super impressed, loved all of it, but there was something about Day 2 because it was released a little bit closer to summer. You guys know me at this point, summer is kind of my season. You know, obviously my boys came down for my birthday around that time, so anytime I hear this album, all I can think of is us driving over the bridge to go to St. Pete Beach, and I miss that. So there's something sort of nostalgic almost about this album as well, but that's why it's my number 1, because it just has, it's obvious, honestly, it's the main reason it's above I Made is because there are just more songs on it, and it's kind of tough that that's the way that it is, but it's hard for me to rank this below I Made just because, you know, there's so many extra songs on it. But yeah, that's my list of top 10 albums for the year. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me, whether you hate my list or you're like, hey, that's actually a pretty good list. And obviously leave your list in the comments below. I definitely want to read through what you guys thought, and like I said in the beginning of the video, I definitely want to know what you guys think. Because like I said, if there's an album that a lot of you guys are saying you really enjoyed that I missed out on, I want to go back and I want to check on that. So yeah. Thank you guys for all the support throughout these videos. It's been very fun to make them for you. It has been a little bit stressful, but ultimately it's been very fun to compile these lists, and it feels sort of that we're rounding the year off the right way. I hope some of the other creators that I watch end up doing this too, because I really want to hear their opinions on the music that we've heard this year. But yeah, man, 2019's been crazy. 2020 is going to be even crazier. I have so much to do when I get back from vacation. Like by the time that y'all see this video, I've been on vacation for like 5 days or something. So I'm recording this like a week and a half in advance. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with a sort of special kind of video once again. But yeah, until then, love y'all very much and peace.